I never missed a mortgage payment in 44 years. Not one. Not during the recession in the 80s. Not when the markets collapsed in 2008. Not during any of the turbulent, brutal, unforgiving decades that I navigated with the kind of precision that made other men on Wall Street nervous and made me feel, for a very long time, invincible. I never missed a mortgage payment. I missed 44 first days of school. My name is Arthur Pennington. I'm 91 years old. I spent 40 years as an investment banker in New York City, managing director by 38, my own firm by 45. The kind of man whose name appeared in the journal and who took that as evidence that his life was going well. I have 3 children, Robert, Diane, and Catherine. Robert speaks to me on holidays. Diane sends cards. Catherine, my youngest, stopped returning my calls sometime around 2015, and I have not found a way to close that distance since. I want to tell you about the arithmetic of absence, because I was a numbers man, and the numbers, when I finally ran them honestly, were devastating. A child is at home, truly at home, needing a parent in the specific way that only children need parents for roughly 10 years, maybe 12. After that, they begin the long, slow process of needing you differently, less urgently, more optionally. You have approximately 10 years. I was present for perhaps 2 of them, spread unevenly across 3 children over 2 decades. That is not a metaphor. That is an actual calculation. I did sitting in this chair 3 years ago on a Tuesday afternoon when I had nothing left to do but be honest with myself. 2 years of real presence across 30 years of fatherhood. The rest was provision. Financial, logistical, structural provision. And I called that love. I want to tell you about a man named Gerald. We started at the same firm in 1964. Same year, same floor, same ferocious ambition. Gerald was from a small town in Ohio, first in his family to wear a suit to work. The hunger in him was something you could almost see. By 1975, we were both rising fast. Gerald had a wife, Susan, and 2 boys. He talked about them the way ambitious men talk about their families, proudly, briefly, and always in the past tense. What they did last weekend, what his oldest said last month, always last, always behind him. In 1979, Susan asked for a divorce. Gerald handled it the way we handled everything, efficiently, clean settlement, reasonable custody arrangement, every other weekend and 2 weeks in the summer. He told me about it over lunch. He said, "It's better this way, Arthur. She'll be happier. The boys will adjust. Kids are resilient. Kids are resilient." I have heard that sentence used to justify more damage than almost any other combination of words in the English language. Gerald's boys adjusted. They became functional, successful, distant men who invited their father to graduations and weddings and sent him to a very comfortable assisted living facility in New Jersey in 2017 without much deliberation. I visited him there in 2018. He had a nice room, a window with a decent view, photographs of his grandchildren on the dresser. Children he saw 3 or 4 times a year. He said to me very quietly, almost to himself, "I thought I was building something for them, Arthur. I thought every deal, every late night, every missed thing, I thought it was accumulating into something they'd have. I didn't understand that what they needed me to build was just me, just my presence. That was the whole thing, and I was somewhere else. I drove back to Manhattan and worked until midnight. I want you to understand that. I heard Gerald say that, and I went back and worked until midnight. We do not change when we hear the truth. We change when we have nowhere left to run from it. Gerald died in 2020. His boys flew in. They were sad in the way people are sad when they lose someone they had already been losing for 30 years. Grief mixed with something older, something that had no clean name. The most expensive thing you will ever purchase is the approval of a world that will not be at your bedside at the end. Let me tell you about my wife, Margaret. We were married in 1962. She was 24. I was 26. She was the kind of woman who made a room feel inhabited simply by being in it. Warm, direct, funny in a way that surprised people who had just met her. She raised our 3 children almost entirely alone, not because she had to. Because I was in an office 5 floors above Midtown Manhattan, convincing myself that providing for them and being with them were the same thing. They are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. Margaret told me this once, 1988. We were in the kitchen on a Saturday morning, one of the rare Saturdays I wasn't at the office, and she said, not angrily, just clearly, "Arthur, your children don't need another thing. They have everything they need materially. What they need is for their father to sit down and ask them what they're thinking about." Just that, just sit down and ask. I said I would do better. I did not do better. I bought Catherine a horse that year instead. She was 12. She loved horses. She rode that horse for 4 years, and I watched her compete exactly once. She won that day. I remember thinking, I should come more often. I did not come more often. Catherine was 17 when she stopped trying to get my attention. I didn't notice immediately, and when I did notice, I told myself it was normal. Teenagers pull away. It's developmental. It's healthy. It wasn't developmental. She hadn't pulled away. She had simply, finally, quietly given up. There is a difference between a child pulling away and a child giving up on you. One is growth. The other is a door closing from the inside. I didn't know the difference until it was too late to matter. She told me in 2012. She was 44. I was 82. Margaret had been gone 3 years. She said, "Dad, I spent my entire childhood trying to be interesting enough for you to pay attention to. And I was never quite interesting enough. And I'm 50 years old, and I'm still working that out." I sat across from my 50-year-old daughter and had nothing to say. Not because there was nothing true to say, but because everything true required me to agree with her completely. And I had spent 80 years being a man who did not simply agree when the cost of agreeing was that high. I said, "I'm sorry, Catherine. You deserved better." She nodded. She looked out the window. We have not found our way back from that conversation. Not entirely. Maybe not ever. The trophies in my study mean nothing to her. The deals, the firm, the reputation. The journal mentions framed on the wall. None of it is a father. None of it sat with her when she was sick. None of it drove her to practice. None of it stayed up when she was late coming home. I provided the house. Margaret was the home. And when Margaret died, my children lost the last parent they'd actually had. They were polite about it at the funeral. They were polite about me. Money is not love. I want to say that as plainly as I can. Not as a sentiment, as a fact derived from 91 years of evidence. Money is useful. Money solves real problems. Money provides real security, but it does not sit across from a 12-year-old at dinner and ask what she's thinking about. It does not show up to the competition. It does not stay. And children know the difference from a very early age. They know when they are being provided for and when they are being loved. They know when the mortgage payment is easier for their father than the conversation. They know. They just don't have the words for it yet. They find the words eventually. 3 things I know at 90, one that I could not see at 45. First, your financial legacy will be divided, spent, and forgotten within 2 generations. Your emotional legacy will last forever. What you leave your children is not the money. It is the memory of how it felt to be around you. Whether you made them feel seen, whether they could bring you the real things, whether your presence in a room made them feel safe or performed. That is what they carry. That is what they pass to their own children. That is the only inheritance that actually compounds. Second, no one on earth needs you to be as financially successful as you are trying to be. I know that is a difficult sentence for ambitious people. I know because I was one, but I want you to hear it as plainly as I can say it. The number you are chasing, the specific figure, the title, the level, your family does not need it. They need 45 minutes of your undivided attention on a Tuesday evening. They need you to put the phone down. They need you to ask the question and then wait for the real answer. That is it. That is the whole requirement. It is simultaneously the simplest and the hardest thing I am asking you to do. Third, call the one you've lost ground with, not to explain yourself, not to defend the years, just to say, I know I wasn't there the way I should have been. I'm not asking you to make that okay. I just needed you to know that I know. That call will cost you 12 minutes and your pride. The alternative costs everything else. I still have the deal tombstones, the lucite blocks they give you when a major transaction closes. I have dozens of them in my study, a whole shelf. I walked past that shelf last week on the way to make my morning coffee. I did not look at them. I looked at a photograph instead. Margaret and the 3 children at the beach in 1974. Robert is 9. Diane is 7. Catherine is 4. Margaret is laughing at something outside the frame. I was not in that photograph. I took it. I was there. I was standing 4 feet away with a camera, and I was not there. I would give every tombstone on that shelf, every deal, every mention in every publication, every year of the reputation I spent 4 decades building. I would give all of it without hesitation for one more ordinary day in that photograph, not a significant day, Not a milestone, just an ordinary day. At the beach, with my family. Without my briefcase waiting in the car. Just that. One question. Answer it honestly, just for yourself. What have you bought recently that your family needed less than they needed your time? Arthur.